Hello, you have arrived. I'm Celia, and this is Conscious Dream Academy podcast slash YouTube slash wherever I post this. And basically, I am a dreamer, as everyone is, but I'm like, the dreams have come for me and give me messages to share from the universe. So today I am going to tell a story. And this is a fun one. So, if you've listened to my podcast, there is a story about how I laid down one time, just laid down in bed, closed my eyes, and I did have the intention to do a hypnosis, like a self-hypnosis, and I transported into I went into an altered state of consciousness where I was in a room full of people and a woman was talking us into a hypnosis. So it's like I went into a hypnosis and then I was in this group session, and then I went into the hypnosis within the hypnosis and visited all these past lives. Then I was brought by that lady into the group hypnosis, or out of that hypnosis. She was talking us out of it. And then I spent a little time in that state of consciousness before awakening back to my waking life here. And that was a really epic experience. And I actually had a very similar thing happen yesterday. So this time, I laid down in bed just for a little rest, and I actually did not have any intention. I just laid down to rest. And I closed my eyes. You know, this is at like 10 a.m. yesterday. And as I have my eyes closed, I'm having some visuals as I'm kind of starting to relax more and pay less attention to what's going on around me, the thinking mind, and just observing the visuals. And I see a scene, and it's like an icy place. And there's animals that are they're somehow being like, it's not like they're walking, but they're like, it's almost like they're on the airport walkway. I don't see one of those, but it's almost like they're on one of those because there's just like some energies just like pulling them like do. And then they go off this cliff thing into the unknown. So these animals, they're doing it willingly. They're not scared. They're just one at a time. They're just going. They're just surrendering. And as I'm watching this, I realize, I'm in a really relaxed state of mind. And what I've noticed in dreaming and altered states of consciousness is like the more you can surrender, the better. Like that's where you can have greater experiences and breakthroughs. And so I'm watching these animals in this icy scene, and I realize, this is an opportunity to surrender. And I'm not feeling any fear at all. And I'm aware of that. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Because often there'll be situations of surrender where I'm like, where it's like, oh, hey, you can dive into this deep water and there'll be like a prize if you let go and just dive into it. But I'll still have my fear about me. I'll have the fear. And so I'm like, oh, no, I'm not doing that, But in this situation, I was so relaxed, I didn't have the fear. And so I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So as the next animal went, I was like, okay, I'm going to. And then I just went off the edge. I completely just released, surrendered, chose to let go. And mind you, this is just me participating in a visual that I was having, not having a clue where it was going to take me. So I completely surrender into the unknown, going off this cliff with the animal. And then I appear into a different scene. And it's actually someone I know from this waking life. She was leading some sort of healing circle. And normally she has people on their yoga mats in a circle. So everybody's facing the center. But looking at this healing circle, the yoga mats were like long ways in a circle. And so there'd be a person's head, and then they're laying long ways, and then their feet. And the next person's head would be at that person's feet. So the people, their bodies were actually forming the circle, which is pretty interesting. And then there's my yoga mat, which I wasn't on my yoga mat because I had gone off to the side. Mind you, this whole experience is in this like really wonderful sand. And so I'm off to the side. I'm like making this, I accidentally call my mother. I'm having trouble talking. And so I realize I called her, and I hang up right away because I don't want her to be worried. And plus I'm busy. So okay. So I'm in this like ceremony, except for I'm off to the side because I'm just in my own world, in this sand, like just completely oblivious to what's going on with the ceremony. So the person who's leading the ceremony comes over to near, maybe like a few feet from where I'm at. And at first they tried to motion to me to come back to the ceremony, but I was just like in my own world. But then when they came over and were near me, they were crying, and I was just planning to give them their space to feel their feelings, and I was just observing. But then it occurred to me, oh, maybe I'll like put my hand on their back and just like give them some support and provide some comfort. Well, instead of doing that, I just intuitively just close my eyes and I feel into my energy, and then I can feel their energy. And then I decide, okay, I'm going to ramp up my energy and send them healing energy. Like that's how I'm going to provide the comfort. And so there's this whole like energetic, really powerful energetic experience, which, I believe at that point, then I'm able to help her. But when I do that, that's when I transport into an entirely different experience. So I go from I'm waking life, I'm laying in my bed, to surrendering through this visual, and then ending up in this healing ceremony, or this whatever the ceremony is, to then ending up in a situation where I'm watching like this magical movie. And there is a guide. I don't see the guide, but I hear the voice. The guide is talking me through the movie. So it starts out with I'm being shown a couple young girls, like really young, and they're playing, and it looks like a house from I realize one of them is my mother, and the house is from her childhood. Like it looks like, a house from the 60s or 70s, the 60s. And I'm just observing, and then I realize something isn't right. And I feel like so the guide is talking me through the whole thing, but I don't remember the details, like to be able to tell you what they were telling me. I just remember them talking and guiding me as I was watching it. So I feel like I'm about to be shown some sort of trauma that my mom went through as a kid. But instead, I just feel like this certain energy. And then there's all these like little magical symbols and some different voices talking. And then there's like these, definitely like these little frogs. Anyways, then the movie takes me to my grandma's house, so my mom's mother. And the first thing it shows me are these like amazing yellow shoes, which that symbol means something, but there's like this entire backstory to it. But that's the first thing I'm shown. And then it's my grandmother in the bathroom, and she's looking in the mirror at herself. And there's this energy of like selfishness and just like this like dark energy. And as I'm observing, it's as if she's morphing into other versions. So then eventually I realized, like, because like the outfit's changing, the hairdo's changing, I realized the hairdo and the outfit is going back in time until eventually it's like this dress, this long sleeve, like corset dress with all these details, with the skirt that goes out, and this like funky old-fashioned hairdo that I have no idea how to describe. And it's like really fancy as also. But I realize it's like it went from my mother to my grandmother to, my grandma standing in front and looking into this mirror. And then it's showing it's like the energies before her. So like the ancestral lineage, it's showing the outfit changes going back in time. Well, then who appears to be my Grandma Betty is representing my Grandma Betty and like the ancestral lineage, looks at me and talks, and it's like, it's not human. It's like kind of like seems like a monster or something. And then I'm freaked out. So I'm this guide is over here. I can't see them, but I hear them. And so I just demand and I yell to the guide. I'm like, to ask who they are. I'm like, who are you? And they answer, and they give me like a couple sentence answer, and I really wish I could remember it, but I can't remember what they said. But they respond politely. And then the final message that the guide said to me was, in the next week, and I can't remember the exact words, but the gist is, in the next 1 week, you will go through a few different things that will transition you out of the rookie experience. So since I've had my awakening and gotten so much more communication with the spiritual experience, and just like really amped up my awareness, apparently, in this next week, there will be some things shifting, and I will transition out of the rookie experience. So after that, my awareness, so it's like I got to see that, and a lot of the healing that we do is to break the ancestral traumas. So whatever energies, behaviors, patterns, personality traits, beliefs that are passed down from your lineage, like that doesn't have to be your life. You can be like, okay, this piece and this piece, or the whole thing whatever you want to keep, you keep. Whatever you want to unlearn, you have the power to shift your framework in that way. It takes work. It takes facing the shadows, and there is work involved for sure, because that's the name of the game. But anyways, this guide took me through this movie and then gave me the message about the rookie thing. And then it was like, I left that situation of being shown the movie, and I went into this like kind of just like resting moment where I'm thinking to myself. And I'm thinking about a situation where, so a few months ago, I had a series of dreams where I kept visiting a parallel reality where one of my ex-boyfriends came to visit me. And like it kept happening night after night. It was like just each time I would visit it, and I wasn't doing it on purpose, the story would just continue. So anyhow, during this resting moment, I'm like thinking, all of a sudden I remember that experience. I remember that reality, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I remembered it so well. It's such a powerful, real experience that I was like, wait, did that really happen in my waking life, or was that a dream? Because I was in that really relaxed state, I was very aware of both realities. And I was like, I legitimately don't know. And by the way, once I actually wake up out of this kind of like hypnosis thing or altered state of consciousness, I then remembered right away. I was like, oh yeah, that was definitely a dream. But in the altered state of consciousness, where I was a little bit, I don't know what you want to say. It's just that world was as real as this world. So, okay. I then appear back at the sand place, and somehow I'm on the phone with my mom again. My father and his parents, all of these people are currently living. They were all on the phone as well. And I had a really hard time talking. It was like, I would use like the most effort, and I could barely make a whisper. So I don't know if that was because I was traveling, and then like you get back into your body or get back into that state of consciousness, and then it's like talking is hard. Like, I don't know, but that was a thing. And so I'm back at the sand ceremony, but it's over. I'm letting my family know I'm okay, I'm safe. And then they just say, okay. It's almost like they didn't have any other questions. It's almost like they knew I was going to be doing this, and they just wanted to know like that I got through it. And then I open my eyes, and I'm back in my room. So what I realized about this experience was it was very similar to the time I was shown all the past lives. So when I was shown all the past lives, when I transported from my bed, closed my eyes, transported to the group hypnosis where the lady was leading us into the experience, the spiritual experience where the guides were showing me whatever, and then came back to the being pulled out of the hypnosis, and then I'm back in my room and I open my eyes. This was very similar, which I think is so interesting. So with this one, I just lay in my bed, I close my eyes, I surrender, and I end up in a ceremony, and then I end up in the guides showing me this like thing that blew my mind. And when the guides were showing me, I remember being like trying to pay so much attention because I was like, this is epic. And it was like zooming in on things. I was like literally like watching the movie of different eras, and going into somebody's little kid's bedroom and like seeing them. It's like you're remote viewing in the past, even though apparently time, So, and everywhere I looked, it was this like magic symbols being shown. I don't know. But so what I'm getting at is the fact that these two experiences were similar in the way that they happened. So it's almost like so like I could go to a ceremony with a specific intention, get into an altered state of mind, and then have a spiritual experience. And then you would come out of the experience at the ceremony, then you'd be like, oh, great, I paid, however many dollars, and I drove to this place and I did the thing. Well, what this is showing me is that if the universe is like, okay, you're ready for this specific ceremony, you can just lay down and surrender to the universe, and then they will transport you to the ceremony, and then which will transport you to the experience. They will safely pull you out of the ceremony, and then you will wake up and you will be at your house. That doesn't even sound real, but yeah, it's real. So I feel like this really is a game changer, the fact that I did this twice. So, like I say all the time, the universe came to me in a dream and told me to bring to other people's awareness that you can use intention with dreaming. Obviously, you can use intention during your waking life. You can use intention with meditation. You can use intention with everything. Even if your intention is just to surrender to the universe's will, or what would be best for you, like what are you ready for now, what do you need, what healing do you need, like whatever. But specifically with dreaming, it's like you set the intention before you go to bed, and then you have the dream correlated to that intention, and it's a practice. So a lot of people say, I don't remember my dreams, or they say, stuff along those lines is like, or they say, my dreams are crazy, I don't think there's any meaning. It's like, once you start to pay more attention, that's when it starts to make sense. And it will really end up being a lot more impressive than you can even imagine. And so this is interesting because when I laid down to rest, I didn't have an intention. I just laid down to rest. So it's like your higher self has an intention for you. So sometimes even if you don't have an intention, I mean, I have intentions all the time, but when I laid down, I didn't say, okay, take me and show me the ancestral trauma. And, so, okay, so I hope you were able to follow this story. I have pretty epic experiences all the time, and I love telling the stories. And so I did the thing today. Sometimes I see people say certain experiences are sacred and they shouldn't be shared, like spiritual experiences. And I agree with that, but I also think aspects can be shared because it helps others see what's possible. And I remember at the beginning of my awakening, there was a situation where somebody had something going on in their life, and I felt like, oh man, like I wish I had that. And it didn't occur to me that I could. It just was like, oh, I felt lack. And then this person who was quite a teacher to me, they said, that's social proof. It's not bad, it's good, social proof. So it's like, if you can see someone else, if you witness someone else have an experience or a life or feel a certain way, it's not like, oh, I wish I could do that. That's an energy you can bring to it, or you can bring the energy of, oh, that's social proof. I'll hold space for that to be welcomed into my life and expand in a way that is, a perfect fit for me and my creation, my manifestation of my life. And let it be even better than you can imagine. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions or, comments, maybe this has happened to you. Yeah, just happy dreaming, everybody.